everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake. We're sick, sort of.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting sick. He's getting sick.
Yeah.
So sorry about the voices.
We still work, though. And you guys call in like a bunch of pussies.
So today, well, in fairness, recording takes like an hour tops, and we're answering questions. But our throats hurt.
Yeah.
So this is Jake Reed's throats hurt. Fuck you. Here's the first one. From our Discord, Tertius says, Dear Hugo and Jake, I was forced to move to the deep south where there's a church every 5 feet. I used to live in an area with mostly agnostic or non-practicing Christians, but now there is a huge Christian base I have to deal with, and I have now learned I actually can be kind of a dick about it, but I'm trying not to be. How could I stop being a douchebag to these extremely hick people?
Well, the end of that sentence didn't help your...
I was just gonna say, start by not calling them hick people, that'll help.
Yeah, okay, hicks. More often than not, it's a cultural thing. It's not their intellect. Hicks. Now it can totally, because typically a hick comes from a small town. Maybe they're not college educated. Very agricultural, agrarian, if you will.
Sprinkle of racism. Can we throw in a sprinkle of racism?
Just a touch. Only a touch. Too much and it just spoils the batch. But if you just don't want to be a douchebag to them, I find that a big thing between the uneducated masses of rural, say, Michigan, my family, or people they know more typically, it's the way I talk. It's not what I'm saying, it's how I'm saying it, because we actually use, like, vocabulary that, like the word vocabulary. Like, it's the way you talk to people that can be misconstrued as maybe you are pompous or, oh, he's a city boy, or, you know what I'm saying? So, if you, I'm not saying talk down to them, I'm saying, like, try to pay attention to how they say things rather than, like, you know, what they're saying, I guess, in regards to try to figure out how to speak to people. You're laughing. I was literally trained to figure out how to talk to people.
I know. I guess I just don't get how not to be a dick. Don't be a dick. I think you're giving a name. I guess I don't get it.
No. I think he's actively not trying to be a dick.
Yeah.
So in my head, he thinks, why do they keep thinking I'm a dick? It's how you're talking to people.
Maybe. I don't know.
It is. I can't imagine he's out there like, you fucking hicks. Why are they upset at me? If it is the case, you're just an asshole. But typically it's a cultural difference in the way you speak. And then it just comes across as you're being an asshole.
Well, okay.
All right.
Ace Daggy says, Jake, screw you, Hugo. Aw. You moved back to Michigan. Did you keep your family and dog? Are you camping out in with Hugo at his house/cave? What does it all mean? Where did you learn teleportation?
These are all good questions. So the first one is, kind of, you moved back to Michigan. Yes, I did. Did you keep your family and dog? No, yes. Are you camping out in with Hugo at his house cave? I don't live here, we work here. This is Hugo's actual cave, though. It's very nice. He put drywall up.
Yeah.
I'm buying a house, for those that don't know.
Took a long time to pick out those stalagmites.
I think they're sort of tights. Those are tights.
Tights mites.
Yeah.
I forget. I always think in my head I have a mnemonic for that because I'm like, oh, tight, because they hang tight to the ceiling. But then I think, wait, no, they hang onto their ceiling with all their might. Tight? But the mnemonic is it works for both of them. It doesn't help at all. If anything, I'm more confused.
What does it all mean? That's a good question. Nothing. It really means nothing. I moved locations, and teleportation, that was the magic of post-editing. I drove.
Also, if you get to 30 a virgin, wizards give you magic powers, so.
Virgin wizards? Did you say virgin wizards?
Yeah.
I feel like all wizards are virgins. Who's fucking a wizard?
From the last Ask Hugo, Liquidated Damages says, Hugo, how serious were you and Jake about potentially having a gathering in Michigan sometime in the future? I live in the state. I'm sorry. And I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay, so tenuously, we do have a plan for, and we discussed this on the Discord specifically, and enough people seemed interested in it to where preliminary actions are being taken, like, before beta. It's pre-beta. To maybe next year, about 12 months from now, maybe a little bit longer, we would go to a like camp with us, our significant others, our friends that are fans of the show, and we would actually camp. We'd rent cabins out or whatever. Now there would be a ticket price. I don't know how much that is yet. It depends on the exact cost, but we went through a range of costs with the people that were interested in it on the Discord, and it seemed most people were cool for about $50 to $60 for the whole weekend, which is pretty reasonable.
For a camping weekend. I don't think that's bad.
And so it would be a lot of people in the area. Also, there was a lot of people that were really willing to like drive with people places, because a lot of people live like nearby, driving distance and stuff. So we'd get a whole network of stuff. It'd be on the Discord mostly for the communication of that, but tenuously called Camp Rooved. Because of the Discord inside joke that if you're not a member of the Discord, it means nothing to you. But we do stuff like, obviously it'd be a lot of FaceTime with us.
Yeah.
We'd just be hanging out for like probably 2 days, 3 total, if that makes sense.
You mean 2 nights, 3 days?
Sure, but 2 full days.
Or like
yeah,
one night, 2 days.
We'd bookend.
I get what you're saying.
Leaving.
Look,
Anyways, so we do like live chick tracks. We do a cookout. We do a bunch of fun stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely join the Discord. It's in the description below, and we'll be talking about this over time, and we'll have RSVPs because we're gonna have to rent it out probably at least 6 months ahead of time. And so yeah, we'll do all that. That sounds like a lot of fun. It's kind of our version of a TBR convention. But a little casual, not a lot of stuff going on. It just sounds more fun than, and we're not really like, we're not peasants do like bar hops and stuff. That's not really our thing.
No.
So,
Mr. Thought Crime says, Dear Hugo and Jake, what direction do you think the, quote, skeptic community will go in the next few years? Do you think it will keep going right? Do you think it will swing back left, etc.? Interesting question.
It is a good question, because obviously in the last election cycle, we swung right. I said we in the skeptic community. The skeptic community swung right.
I was very surprised.
I wouldn't say they were right wing, but I will say they're like, ooh, left. Which, granted, the left earned. The left totally earned it. I'm just saying. I
feel like people were being graded on curves that were not earned, though.
Correct. And not just Trump. So. Okay, there's a certain number of people, and I'm not going to name any names, a certain number of people that did it because that's genuinely how they felt. And I'm totally fine with that. Most of the people, you already know who these people are. They genuinely felt that way. They made arguments to support the thing they thought was correct. Whether or not it was correct in the end, we'll find out, but that was the thing. Whether that was Trump or just not being Hillary or nothing to do with either of them, but just kind of the topic at large. And then there was this second, much larger group. I get money if I say Hillary bad, Trump good. Those people. They'll swing whichever way gets them clicks. People like that, the one person that jumps out to me that I will name is Dave Rubin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't mind that one.
Yeah. Dave Rubin clearly did that. He clearly still does that. You can tell because he'll use words like, aha, triggered. Can you believe the SJWs are so triggered? That's kind of how you can tell when people are kind of mining this shit. But recently, I've been seeing just people in the community kind of not swing back necessarily like a full swing, but they're kind of seeing like, oh, these people are crazy. So the other day on Twitter, CheapeOne had tweeted like, yeah, and she was always pretty reasonable, by the way, for the record.
Yeah.
In my opinion. She tweeted something to the effect of like, this, I'm starting to very much disagree with, alt-rightness. And
Yeah.
it was nice for her to say that out loud because I know that's how she feels, actually. And she's felt that because throughout the entire, not just election cycle, but post, in the last few months, she said stuff that were against the alt-right several times. And so, like, the Pepes and whatever that get mad on the internet are starting to, like, not be able to figure out what they want. And, like, those are the same people that think Lacey Green is 100% on their side, but she just isn't as far left as you thought she was, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole bunch of stuff. It was most of the skeptics that are actually skeptics will swing with the topic that makes sense because the arguments are pretty consistent with them. And then you'll see a big swing between what's popular at the bottom, the dregs of the fucking YouTube communities. They'll swing whichever way gets some clicks.
Here's my thought. I think that it wasn't an intentional thing, but I think by the very nature of the kind of things that are talked about in the skeptic community, it tends to be whatever is the establishment at the time gets bucked against.
Yeah.
Because that's how skepticism works. You're taking someone at authority and saying, let me take what you're saying and analyze it. Now, for the past 8 years, that's been more the left, Obama, and, that's grown and stuff, and I understand why that started getting rallied against in the whole people claiming that, language police. I understand that.
Right. I don't think the administration ever enforce that.
No, I don't think so either. But I'm saying I understand why that was the side that was getting attacked more,
for sure.
running up to the election, especially because it looked like Hillary was going to win.
Yeah,
but then now that Trump's in power and the alt-right people are the ones in charge, now people are actually looking at them and going, "Oh,
well, that's stupid.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
This is really bad. Let's scrutinize that now." So I look at it as less maliciously than you do. I don't think people were consciously saying...
Oh, some people totally.
I'm sure there were some, but I guess I didn't...
The ones you're thinking of that we know on a personal level most of the time are not the ones.
I'd assume not, but those are the only people I pay attention to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm on the Twitterverse a lot more than you.
Fair enough.
It's
That's why I always think it's safer. Don't say things just because you want to get clicks. Be honest all the time. It's a lot less shit to remember.
Right. We will never, air quotes, sell out. If it's something that we actually think is correct, because I find that so fucking boring.
I've been saying Trump's shitty and that whole alt-right shit's been bad since before the election, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can look at that and go,
good decision.
That's a good decision. That represents me.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Anyway.
We should take a drink at the same time. That's
okay.
Good. It's good TV.
I spilled a bunch on myself.
I didn't. My mouth is functional.
I don't know if that came through on the camera or not, but...
Where's it at?
It's okay.
Oh, it's down there.
I got the suicide pellets that dry things out from the torchbearer review.
Yeah, hold on, let me...
I'm real afraid this air dick touch is going to accidentally turn into a real dick touch, and this episode's going to have to end early, so...
Wait, why would it end early? Because you ended early?
From the last Jake reads, Wyatt Montgomery. That sounds like an old-timey 20th century American protagonist in a novel.
It sounds like Wyatt Montgomery could hit a crackerjack from 2 Mile. What's the boxed food? I don't know what a crackerjack is.
After listening to Jake tell me how to cook bacon, have you ever considered a cooking series? Aptly timed question.
Funny, you should ask that 2 weeks ago, and now I saw it. We actually talked about this the other day because I come back into town, and of course I have friends that wanted to see me. So Hugo, one of my best friends, Dave, one of my friends, Richie, I don't think Corey did. Sean maybe did. A few of my friends, I'm known for cooking in my friend circle. I'm a guy that cooks. All of them have asked me for cooking, either to cook for them or to show them how to cook. Him and I have been talking about just me showing Hugo a recipe, Hugo making the recipe alongside me, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So I think we might. And I don't know what we'll do at first, but I think it'll be fun. And the problem is he's not retarded. So the comedy of it would be before the dish is done. Because I think you're going to be able to cook the things I cook. It's not extreme.
At best it'll be like, this is too salty.
Right. So we will probably do that. It'll probably be on Unpopular Culture though. So if you're not subscribed to that, we've got a lot of content coming out on that all the time, and you ought to because it's good times. So yeah, I think cooking thing there. I've also done very few, like a 3 or 4 cooking things, and we do a thing where we try food on Unpop, which is fun. We tried a hot dog pizza recently. If you want a link to that, it's at the end of the video.
Am I looking at this first, or are they looking at this first?
We'll just open it, and I'll I'll turn it towards them. Please shut your eyes. Don't look at the camera.
Oh.
Please notice the topping display.
Oh, is it as bad as I think it is?
Yes, these are what you think they are.
Oh no. No!
Okay.
Erica Hess. Are you guys going to have a multi-camera studio or single? Just curious, but if it's a secret, you don't have to answer.
Good question again. So I'm buying a house, and it's got, if everything goes as planned, I'll have it fairly soon. And we have studio plans.
Yeah.
And it will be, right now, in our heads, it's a 3-camera setup. So we'd have a wide shot, and then a shot of Hugo, and then a shot of me.
Yeah, that's very basic. If anyone doesn't know, that's like the most basic setup you can have for something like this.
Yeah. Well, this is more basic. 1 camera.
Honestly, though, I don't think it's more basic, but it's harder to work with, believe it or not. Because for those of you who aren't thinking about the editing all the time, in this video, maybe already Jake's had to like zoom in on a shot or something.
Yeah, sometimes that's for comedy and not for editing.
Sure, but a lot of the time, there are reasons we do it. It's because we cut the shot there. You have to hide the cutting. Sometimes.
And especially when we recorded this separately, there's sometimes where we talk over each other. Mostly that was the latency of the internet connection.
Yeah.
But sometimes we'll cut just our audio track out while the other person's talking, just so it sounds better.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know if you can tell, sometimes you can tell, but sometimes we hide it really well. Sometimes in the middle of a sentence we have to cut because maybe a loud noise happened outside, or one of us coughs, or Hugo stumbles over a biblical word, which happens. Poor Hugo. He ended up being the reading guy.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
Sometimes we cut right in the middle of a sentence and start off again, and it's so. And visually, sometimes you have to do that as well.
Yeah,
we're both sick right now. So what if we cough, right?
Right. So basically, 3-camera setup helps because you can cut from one camera to the other. It's less noticeable than if we do a jump cut. Like if you it's called a jump cut because you're cutting from one shot to the same shot at a later time,
right? Because
it appears that things jump from one position to another, as opposed to altering the camera angles, which looks
and not just cameras, audio wise.
Yeah, we're gonna replace these with actual analog mics and sound mixers. So the sound will be much more consistent. I promise. I'm sorry.
Well, this one actually has been crapping out on us recently.
Yeah.
But also, we bring them up a lot. Red Letter Media. We found out how they do their sound.
Oh, that's just how professional sound is done.
I know it is, but I just didn't think about it because it's professional sound, and they're in the industry and whatever. So it's so they have the lapel mics, which clip onto your shirt or whatever. Then they have the boom mics over top, and they mix in between the two to get the most natural sound.
Right, which is just how
makes so much sense. But we don't have that equipment, so we've never. So we're gonna be doing a lot of new stuff. We have a lot of ideas that we've been wanting to do for a while, and now we can. Also, it's hot as fuck in here.
I know, it's real bad. This studio is not meant for 2 people. One person that gets hot, fly. One person that gets hot in here.
He karate kid the shit. Wow.
But 2 people, it's ridiculous. Let's finish this thing. Rodrigo Berlanga.
That's a fuck. I want to fuck him.
Based on the name alone, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell he'd be a Latin lover. How do you see the younger generation approaching religion? You think Christianity will prevail in the culture as much?
That's an interesting question. I think it's losing. I think it's losing every year. Now, I think you're going to have these... what happens when zeitgeist shifts happen, like, secularism is pretty much the winner right now. Even if you're a Christian, you live secularly. Like, we're hedonistic. We're very individualistic in the society, especially Western, but mostly American. So, I mean, you barely live as a Christian ought to if you are one as is. And just over time, over here, there's a main drag, and there's 2 really huge churches. One of them is a more traditional sort of like, you ought not be gay, it's a sin, you're a bad person, you're born with sin, whatever. The one across the street is also very big, but its main selling point is faith shouldn't be a guilt trip. We're seeing a lot of this infighting in these, not just mega churches, but just in communities in general. Where my buddy Richie lives, his dad is a pastor, and he is a pastor of a smaller church in a small-ass town, and it's very brimstone fire, and you ought to be, ashamed of yourself kind of thing. And the one next to it is more liberal. And just the fact that you have to have a more liberal slant to keep people coming shows me that the culture of it is dying. Whether or not the belief dies is a different thing, but that's not what I care about. I don't care if you believe that God exists. I think if the culture of that really conservative version of Christianity dies, that's fine.
Sure.
Right. So I think we're seeing also people have time for that shit.
Not to mention, religiosity in the United States went way up right after World War II. In the 40s, 50s, 60s, there was the revival. And I think what we're seeing now, don't get me wrong, I think people are getting less religious, but over the next couple decades, I think the amount of downward trend in religiosity will flatten out a little bit. I think it'll continue to downtrend, but not quite as much. I think a lot of that now is we're returning more to a normal amount of religiosity in the United States right now. That we're coming off of from the revival that happened in the 20th century in the United States.
The Bush stuff didn't help.
And all the coupling of the right-wing Republican Party and religiousness.
Also, if this, depending on what happens with this administration, not to get too political, but typically in America specifically, it will fluctuate depending on who's in power. So when Obama was in power, it starts to tick up a little bit. And then it started falling again. Because, the left, liberals, now we have to be really conservative. And so part of the conservative base right now is Christianity. So it boop, and then starts to go down. And even if the overall population doesn't go up, the loudness of that will go up because it's, people like Duck Dynasty, comes out. And it's the dying whales of an unpopular opinion at this point. As far as the super conservative Christianity, not Christianity in general.
No.
It's obviously very popular.
Yeah.
So, we're winning.
I don't know.
As a people?
That's not how I could look at it.
No, not atheists. As people. I think culturally, we who live secularly are winning. Like, it's a win for us.
I think so. I feel bad. When we're talking about religion and politics and everything, when we're talking about rural voters, a lot of the people who are in Trump's base, for instance, who a lot of people just label as, they're idiots. And in a lot of cases, is that true? Probably. Sure. But that's because of education and stuff. And from their perspective, I really, really don't think it's malicious. I think it's lack of information, lack of life experience. And in a lot of ways, their way of life is dying. We need fewer farmers. The job opportunities are going to be in cities.
We don't need coal miners. We don't need steel workers.
And what do? I understand your entire way of life, the way you feed your family, is it threatened. I assume that existential threat. I understand how that could make you do dumb things. But I don't understand how it could make you vote for people who are obviously lying to you and pandering. And that's the line that makes me go, how can you have believed Trump? He clearly is just trying to take your vote.
And I just drove through the center of the country. I get it. Like, they don't have anything else out there.
No.
I mean, they're farmers or they're miners or they're working at refineries. That was like the only jobs I saw out there if they weren't fast food or gas stations.
I understand. Our institutions have failed people in a lot of ways in those places, and we need job training programs and we need funding for stuff. So when that kind of stuff happens, you can diversify the industry of areas.
Right.
So it's not all based on industries that are dying.
Well, the thing is, it spreads inward, though, because obviously the coasts are where that happens. I lived in Boise, Idaho. If anyone knows anything about Idaho, it's the most conservative bullshit in the whole world ever. It's just super conservative.
Yeah.
And what happened is Google moves into the valley there, because if you don't know, Boise is like basically an oasis in a fucking desert. And so Google moves jobs in. Now tech jobs are a big thing. Everyone works at a call center or something kind of close to that.
Yeah.
There's Google, HP. Places like telecommunication sites all over the place, and now those are the jobs and not the jobs they had before, which were a lot of there's a lot of mining out there because there's tons of mountains. So if you move the jobs in, eventually these people's opinions change on that type of shit, because
or at the very least those opinions get diluted by the opinions
that's what I mean,
of educated people
the
who move into
people's
the area.
opinions. The more people that live there, the opinion's stronger one way or the other. So yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough situation, and I feel if you are someone out there you're in an industry that is dying, I'm sorry, but
yeah.
I mean, buggy whip producers didn't get a a pass either. Shit happens. Ice block delivers milkmen. It happens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really am. But
I see those glass bottles of milk in like TV shows. They still get those?
I don't know.
I want that. I don't even drink milk, but I want one.
Yeah. Anyway. Final comment. Urka. I'm going to assume it's short for Erica. I don't know. Anyway. Dear Hugo and also Jake, how does a person decide who does what in a relationship when you live together, like financially and stuffs? Smiley face emoji. Also, how do you feel about when a person takes care of the other financially and the other gives them like sex in return?
Okay, so the first part, how do you decide who does what in a relationship? You talk about it.
Yeah.
That's very easy. Like I don't know, like me and my last girlfriend, we were like, I made more money for a while and then she started to equal out, but we just kind of said, okay, we're gonna split the bills as best we can, and then like we'll leave this much money up to you, and you know, it just like take your bills down and sit down with each other and find out what's fair for each other. Because like, what if one of you makes a lot more money than the other?
Right.
I feel like that person, if you're in a relationship and you want that person in your life, it shouldn't be like a leverage over that person. It should be like, what's fair for that person that wants to live with me? That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're exchanging sexual favors for a place to live, you're a prostitute a little bit.
See, here's the thing about that, though. I don't care if you are.
I don't either. I'm just saying.
I don't.
That's the.
As long as both parties are aware of the context and agree. For instance, we've talked about Trump a couple times in this episode. Trump and his wife.
Yeah.
There is 0% chance they actually like each other on a personal level. I think,
At
in
this
fact,
point,
I think she even said in an interview, they said something along the lines of, would you still be married to Donald Trump if he weren't rich? And she said, verbatim, do you think he'd be married to me if I wasn't beautiful? And I went, yeah, I mean, it's true. They both know what it is.
Sure.
Whatever the relationship is, as long as it's a consensual arrangement, if you go up to Donald Trump and you're like, you're a fucking piece of shit, but I like your money, I'll suck your dick on a daily basis or whatever,
Sure.
and you both agree to it, do you.
Yeah,
I don't
care. I just think as long as you're both aware of the situation.
And honest.
And
yeah.
honest, definitely honest.
And if anything changes, it needs to be addressed. You
and
know,
also, the only problem I have with that situation in general is if it comes to your living situation.
And if you have kids, the kids.
Well, the kids, obviously.
Those kids need to be.
Ignore the kids for now.
Okay.
A situation where it's one person pays for 100% of your ability to live a lifestyle, they can exploit that to do things sexually that you are uncomfortable with, and then that's abusive, and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like kind of against that situation in general, because eventually someone can take advantage of the other in a way that they don't want to be taken advantage of.
That's why I'm against it personally, actually. I'll tell you this story. No, I can't tell you this story. I'm against duplicitousness. That's it. You cannot be with someone and in your own head be thinking, I'm with them just for possessions or the money or the lifestyle, and then not tell that person. I think that's unfair, and that's...
true.
That's unfair, and you should feel bad about that if you do that.
I agree with that. So. I think I know what your story is going to be.
Regardless of who the person is.
Absolutely. So, now while I would never engage in that kind of relationship because I find it to be long-term toxic, some people I'm sure that works for. I'm sure it absolutely does.
Probably.
Yeah. So,
I'm just... You can do whatever you want consensually with other people. I'm just against that sort of situation personally.
Was it discussed that it was sexual favors for that? Or is that kind of implicit at this point? Because I think it should be discussed and not just implied.
I think it should be discussed. But
right. So
I wouldn't find myself in that situation anyway.
Well, we make the same amount of money exactly, so. Neither of us can be each other's sugar daddy.
Is every single episode now that you're here going to end in a gay joke?
What?
The answer is yes.
Okay, true story. Before you titled this, whatever you titled it, like Sore Throats or whatever, my title for this episode was Tangible Sexual Frustration.
Every episode.
Well, we're here. They shipped us years ago.
Yeah.
And we've never. We're very unrequited. Double drink.
You know why? It's because I don't want to see your penis.
You don't want to see my penis?
Well, I don't want to.
You don't have to see it.
Anyway, that's it. You can always follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
Follow Hugo Reloaded, and you can also subscribe to the channel. You can donate to our Patreon campaign. Got a lot of swag there. We just got a new P.O. box. There it is. Anything else?
No. There definitely is not.